Why is a business plan crucial? So we'll go through these things, but I'll start with one that's not listed here, and that's from a holistic point of view. And I'll share an experience that I've had recently with a farmer who, well, when I say recently, probably 12 months ago, he had been through the 2022 floods that affected his business. He was a grower and affected his business dramatically, changed the whole soil content, and he wasn't looking at having a crop for many years. He had an orchard, so it's not a quick turnaround time. And if his well-being was extremely poor, when I would speak to him, I was helping him through the grant process, he would give me a reason to get out of bed tomorrow, like I'm really struggling. I don't see a future, my farm, I won't have a crop. Anyway, we got through that and we started to have some deeper conversations about his business, and he decided he needed to diversify, and he needed to make some changes there and build a new greenhouse. He was a man in his early 60s, didn't have a computer, no computer skills, but he was a smart man and a good farmer. He just didn't have them. So we were going for a loan. We sat down, we bullet pointed together a business plan. From a template, I went back, fleshed it out for him, presented it with him. We went through the document, and he said, "This is me. This is where I am, and this is where I want to go." And his comment to me was, "You've actually got me excited about farming again." Now, that's been the best payday of my life. That a document for a man who's been farming his whole life, his parents were farmers, to sit down and put all of this information in a document and to say, "That's it, I've got a plan. I've actually got a plan now, and you've got me excited about farming." So there's a real holistic reason to be doing this as well. But of course, the other reason is guide strategic decisions. So it makes sure, a business plan, firstly, it's a real deep dive into your business. A very big deep dive. You're working your own business, but it's one thing stepping out and working on your business. That's really important. Get up and do the day-to-day activities, but you've really got to look at working on your business, and this exercise does just that. So it makes you consider things, help align with the market demands and technological advancements. Market demands. How is your business, what are you doing in your business that is aligning with the market demands? How are you operating your business? Is it seasonal? All of those things to consider in terms of what the market is. I have a client who has been a wool farmer all his life. He's moving out of it. There's no demand for his purposes. The market's changed. We've all got air conditioners now. That's what he says. We've got air conditioners. The demand has changed, so he needs to really diversify. So it's being aware of the market that you're selling to, and what those demands are. Simple supply and demand. The majority of farmers are price takers, which is so amazing. I can't think of any other industry that sells a good that actually determines the price. Yet farmers that we need, if we don't have our farmers, we'll be naked and hungry. We're at the whim, most of them are at the whim of being a price taker, which is a really big thing. If you can't control that driver in your business, you'll have certain amounts of control over it, be it seasonal and or other things, but for the most part, your unit price, if you really don't have control over that, well, then you've got to look at the other drivers in your business that you do have control over and what you can do to change those. Being aware of technological advancements. Are there opportunities out there to engage technology on your farm to start working smarter, not harder? There's lots of new technology coming into farming. So being aware of that and being progressive with farming, keeping up with everybody. But making strategic decisions in a business means change. So it might be big change, a significant change, or it might be a minor change. But it is about changing something in your business. So you need to be aware of that and you need to be open to that. Because there's clearly, if we're all setting goals, as I said, it's to make an improvement in our business in some way. Changing something with all of the drivers or some of the drivers, whatever they may be, in our business. Securing funding, absolute number one. The days are long, long past, generations past, where your loan was, handshake on the farm because the bank manager knew the farmer. It's all about showing a lender how aware you are of your business, what your motivators are in the business, what your drivers are, and what you plan to do around all of these. As we get to the workbook, I'll talk a little bit more about what to put in for a lender. But if you're fortunate enough to have a dedicated agri-business banker, that's fantastic. They're likely to be somebody quite local and know about farming. If you don't, expect that your application may be assessed by somebody sitting in Docklands, Melbourne CBD. So you really need to put your story into that business plan. As I said, that's all they've got, particularly if you're a startup business and they don't have financials to rely on or any part of your history. I don't know in the last 3-4 years of any farmer that's had a normal farming year. We've had so many things thrown at us. Your financials might not be looking so strong or as strong as they would be in a normal year, but demonstrate how you're going to address those risks and things like that. So super important document, and as I said, sits hand by hand with, or side by side with the cash flow projection. So a part of the business plan gets you to identify what risks you have in your business and also opportunities. That's in the workbook. We'll deep dive that a little bit further on. But when you do go through that thought process and you, as I said, this farmer that said, oh, well, if we go through a drought, this means nothing. Well, it's not. This is where it comes into it. We've identified a risk in our business and how are we going to respond if that risk actually occurs. Helps manage cash flows. So again, it gets you to think about part of your business plan is looking at your seasonal activities and what you're doing. So, a lot of farming is quite seasonal, or you can pick and choose when you want to sell cattle and things like that. So you put those into your cash flow projection, and as I said, hopefully it's showing how you can, the business is going to improve. But it also shows if you have dips where you need cash flow, where you're going to be cash flow short, you may sell your product this month but not be paid until the next month or the month after, but you may have, you'll still have the same expenses, you still need to be supporting the farm. So if you have that cash flow projection and you can see that you might have some deficits in your projection, address it at the business plan, saying I might need an overdraft, I might need something, because I don't want to get to that point and go, I can't pay for this or I can't pay for that. Be aware of when you may be seeing that cycle or that dip in cash flow, so you can prepare for it. So a business plan is all about preparation and goals. Helps measure progress. So it does set a benchmark as a part. It's part of your business plan. You could do some market analysis on market trends and things like that. That kind of analysis can help you can benchmark you as to how you're performing against other industries, against other farmers in the industry. And again, we don't have a plan without measuring how are we going in that plan, or have goals to see how we're performing within those goals. We can talk a little bit more about that, but it does, the business plan, don't go to the effort of preparing a business plan and a cash flow projection for it to sit on a desk and collect dust. It's about measuring where you are in that plan.